Hey, how you all doing? We are back again. And hang on, I gotta get the little ticking sheet out here. Look at the list. And oh yeah, here we go. This one is a request, which I'm gonna take a stab at. And twin flames, why your life falls apart. When you connect with one. Cool. Isn't that a racy title? Okay, I'll see if I can do this video without getting too many of you upset. One of the things that I've heard from a lot of people over the years is the story of, and it doesn't necessarily have to happen all the time when another person comes into your life. It can actually happen to yourself by yourself. So let's get some clarity here. And also keep in mind here, and I want to emphasize this point, when I'm giving information, there are always some variables here, all right? Because when I'm doing videos, folks, I'm speaking in general terms. It doesn't mean that I'm isolating or referring to a particular person or persons in the linear form or in a singular form. I'm speaking in general terms. I can't do videos and speak about an individual. I have to give it in general terms, so there are going to be some variations, so please take that into consideration. And also be warned about my very dry sense of humor at times, all right? And this is another video that if you're kind of from the fluffy, obsessed, twin flame fantasy and all the rest of that hogwash, this is probably not a good video for you to watch, because I am going to be stepping on some toes again. I got my work boots on, and when I got my work boots on, hey, we're going to do some toe stepping. All right, okay. Now, one of the things that has happened a lot of times is when people get a hold of me and, they'll tell me these stories like, they met the one or whatever, and all of a sudden their life went completely to shit. They lost their job, their relationship fell apart, they lost all of their friends, they lost their job, they were in a very good career endeavor, and they had a very high-paying job, and some of them even got to the situation and that they were homeless. And they're wondering, like, what the hell happened? Why did this happen? Why me? Why is this happening? Is this some kind of punishment, or is there some kind of whatever? No, and it's not being ordained by anyone at this particular point in time. A lot of people are not understanding that this is going to sound a little strange, all right? There are a lot of people out there right now who are going to watch this video who think they're happy. Now I'm going to repeat that. There are a lot of people out there, and especially in the spiritual community, who think they're happy. But in truth, they really don't know what happiness is, because the happiness that they think they are in has been created by our society and belief systems and innuendos and concepts ingrained within our consciousness, so that what happens is we're programmed to think we're happy when we have achieved or received or arisen to some sort of status. And then we think we're happy. And this is what happens when the Kundalini energy moves, the heart center activation opens up, and in many, many cases, another person shows up, everything goes to pot. This is why this happens. Because, and this is going to be a very popular video, I know it is, because we have this concept, and many people will say, I really believe I'm happy. Yes, you do, because you think you're happy. Because you're programmed to a certain degree of happiness, as I mentioned, because of what has gone in. Happiness is a state of being. It is not a state of mind. A state of mind that says it's happy has been put in that state of mind through belief systems, concepts, and ideologies. Now, I'm repeating it 2 or 3 different ways so many of you can understand it. So if you're going into an awakening via another person or by yourself, and your total self, your soul self, is desiring, wanting, and is here for the purpose of achieving soul happiness, soul balance, soul growth. Your soul being, in my experience, a multidimensional state of consciousness, not a linear state of consciousness, because that's what most of us are living, a linear state of consciousness that is striving towards moving towards a multidimensional state of consciousness. And this is why so many of us think we're happy. There are many people right now who will come on the video and they're going to make a comment. Mel, I'm absolutely convinced I'm happy. I've been going through my spiritual growth and awakening for 10 years now, and I know I'm happy. I'm spiritually in love and happy. No, you're not. You're absolutely not. Happiness is a state of being which is perpetually continuing to strive towards more and more experience that gives the soul living in your body, the entity, more movement and experience to achieve that state of bliss. Let me give you a comparison. How many of you in your spiritual journey to this point have experienced etheric sex or sensuality in the etheric plane with another being? And you had never experienced it before you actually started your awakening. And many of you tell me that you've had this experience and you loved it. It was wonderful. It's so much better than three-dimensional sex. How many of you out there right now have experienced what I call the full body orgasm, the cosmic orgasm, completely through the body or in different parts of the body? Yet you had never experienced this before. And because you've experienced this now, you think you're happy and fulfilled. What if I told you there's more? What if I told you there's better than what you've experienced already? And many would say, well, I'm quite happy with what I have. Yes, you are. But the multidimensional aspect of you is not going to be happy with that. It's ever striving perpetually for growth and experience, knowledge, and expression of self from a multidimensional aspect. And then you could say, well, but I don't care what my soul wants. This is what I want. I want to stay at this particular point because I've reached something. Here it comes. Pay attention. I've reached a comfort zone. That is the human condition. It is a belief system we strive for, and we achieve it, then we think we're happy. A comfort zone. Once we arrive at that comfort zone, we are more than ready, acceptable, and happy, as we think, to stay there indefinitely. But have you noticed, dear friends, that whenever you get to that particular point, and this will be confirmed by some of the comments that will be in the comment section, some people say, yeah, I relate to you were saying I was comfortable and very happy with where I was in my spiritual program, and I was just content to stay right there. And then all of a sudden, guess what happened, Mel? I had all these challenges and stuff come up all over again. that push me to move again. What the fuck is going on? After a while, I'll use this fluffy thing. Dear ones. Oh, Christ. After a while, don't you love that? Dear ones. How many times have you heard that stupid saying, dear ones? Right. Okay. Anyway, after a while, what will happen is you will reach a state of being where you will know that once you get comfortable, something is going to come along to initiate more challenge for you. But in the beginning, when it first happened, it was crisis, chaos. And you know what? Here's another part that I've noticed with a lot of people. Now, keep in mind, I'm just pointing out here just for your knowledge and benefit of experiencing and being exposed to some information that may initially upset you and step on your toes, but given a little opportunity when you're no longer pissed off at me, you peruse it and you say, you know, this old bugger is making sense. And I am. It's called common sense. When you look at the situation, you can see that every time that you've got comfortable and you are getting a little bit cozy, comfortable, the challenges will come along. And the pattern will start all over. But initially in the beginning, when it first comes, it's really, really a shock to the system because it's the first time it happened. And do you know some of you, unfortunately, will stay there for years, resisting the process of change that you are being forced to look at, and you will do things to your body. You will develop conditions called fibromyalgia, resistance to a process, because you don't want to take the responsibility of doing what you know to do. So what can happen is you can create mental disorders. Remember I said happiness is a state of being, not a state of mind. If you have happiness as a state of mind, that state of mind can create unhappiness too. Unhappiness is defined as being a mental condition of deterioration of the multidimensional aspect of self, defined by the conscious control of the individual in question. Now, was that technical enough for you? You may have a hard time wrapping your head around that one. As much as I can be a goofball, I can be very intellectual at the same time also. I'm a very intellectual person, but I have found intellectuality is no good unless it's put in the simplest of terms, and I'm about as simple as it gets in that sense. So you can develop all kinds of physical and mental conditions from the non-acceptance of change and challenge in your life because you want the status quo to remain the same. And people say, well, that's not true. I want change. I want to. No, you don't. You do not, or it would be happening. And this is why you see many people in the spiritual community will suddenly start doing something and they become very aware of it. When somebody is talking and they're giving information outside their happy zone, especially if they're in a spiritual community, what are they going to do? Here it comes. Pay attention. They're going to go into the defense mechanism. They're going to defend their happy belief system mode indefinitely. And they're going to validate it. They're going to quantify it. They're going to perceive it. They're going to scientific it. They're going to intellectualize it. They're going to go back 1,000 years in history if they can find anything that will validate and confirm their present state of happiness in a belief system of lack of responsibility to accept change within themselves. And this is what the spiritual community is guilty of, hands down, a lot of the time. People don't like change when they get in a comfort zone. And the only time that the evolutionary process can make progress is by creating this. And when the challenge comes in, again, this is another thing that's important to remember here, is we always want to think that someone else or something else is responsible for the crisis in our life. Namely, we had a connection with the twin flame, or God is doing something. Why is God, I hear this all the time, why is God doing this to me? Why is this happening to me? Why is God doing this? What did I do? God has nothing to do with it at all. You do it. You did it. You're doing it. You created it. And once you accept responsibility for that, you're halfway home. How does that grab you? So once you do this, and once you have some knowledge, and I can give you the knowledge and the experience, and again I emphasize, there are always some variables here. And if something I say resonates with you, use it, digest it, assimilate it, and get on with your life. But here's what I have learned from my own experience, is whenever a challenge comes up for me, and look at it this way, hey, I'm 75 years old. I've had a lot of challenges in my life. Lots of them. And if anybody thinks right now that I don't get comfortable, I got a habit of I'm comfort lazy. Like many people probably. I'm comfort lazy. Once I get into a pattern, I kind of like to stay there like everybody else. But when the challenge comes up, and they do come up, because I know how the process works, which makes it easier for me, so much easier, I take responsibility, and I say to myself, oh, here we go. It's time for a change and a shift, and we're going on up to the east side. I take it in stride and in humor. I don't look at the challenge or the crisis coming up as being, oh God, here we go, another problem coming up. Oh geez, why is this happening to me? Oh God, not another situation. Oh, heart center is going bananas. I'm having Kundalini awakening. My body hurts all over. And complain and whine and bitch and carry on. And all you're doing is just making it worse. Like, stop the whining, the bitching, the complaining. Accept. Your next state of happiness is now forthcoming. And then allow yourself to flow through the challenges that are coming up. Don't get sucked into them. This is what happens with people. When the challenges comes up, in a lot of cases, they will involve another person or persons. And other people tend to want to suck you in to their situation through the challenge that is being presented to you. The trick is to recognize the challenge through the person who is presenting it, or the situation that's presenting it to you, and say to yourself, no, I'm not going to react the way I would have reacted before, because that's not acceptable, because I know what's happening. This is my new happy place coming into my vibration, and I need to kind of go with the flow here and not get my nose out of joint, my panties in a knot, and get all flustered. When you do this, what have you done? You've quieted the internal energies down. You have reached a point where the emotional body doesn't react like it used to, because it's now assimilated those feelings the way it used to, now through the heart center, so you can go through this in a responsible, mature, mature way, instead of having a little temper tantrum and a hissy fit and stomping your feet and wailing and banging and all of that kind of stuff. You can look at it and say, yep, we got a challenge here. So how are we going to respond to it? What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of go with the flow with it, take a look at it. We're not going to get emotionally involved with it, and things will work out. Well, one thing that I've always come across is 9 times out of 10, whenever somebody's had a challenge when they're going through their spiritual awakening, it's always seemed to have worked itself out inevitably for most people for the better. And most people will admit, yes, you've got a few on the side that say, oh, no, it didn't work out. It was just chaos for me and definitely still going on. That's because they don't want to take responsibility and take a look at what the real problem is. Them. You're the problem. You don't want to do what's necessary because you don't want to give up the status quo that you've achieved already by through your belief system, which has given you a state of mind as the expression of happiness, when happiness is the expression of being. Think about that for a moment. Matter of fact, meditate on it. Matter of fact, go for a walk and think about it more. Matter of fact, leave the damn cell phone at home and go for a walk and think about it. And never mind jaw-jacking your thumb up and down as if your whole life depended upon that little box. Leave it alone. Go for a walk. Think about what I said. In this video, there are some very, very important and enlightening little tidbits and pieces. Go back and look at the video again, 5, 6 times if necessary. Pick those little tidbits out. Chew on them. And then go and get 100 of your friends and get them to come and subscribe to my channel so they can get smart too. And they can be happy. I know how to be happy. I can help people to be happy. I'm happy. Do I not look happy? When I come into a YouTube video, do I not feel happy to all of you? I mean, maybe the odd time I come and look a little tired. That's because I spend 2 or 3 hours every night trying to help those people over there get happy, you see. And you know what? Some of them over there on the other side, they don't know how to get happy either. So guess what's happened? I talked to some the other night and they all got to come back and do it again. How's that grab you? TwinFlame.ca. That's where you can find me. Have a great day, everyone.